Yours will be criticizing me. Ours will be criticizing you. Ours will be harder on myself. You'll never know how I truly have felt. Makes you wanna say, this thing really does suck ass. Makes you wanna say, even things from the past. Makes you wanna say, this is the worst thing I have seen. Makes you wanna say, what the fuck, Marine? What the fuck, Marine? What the fuck, Marine? What the fuck, Marine? What the fuck, Marine?
The Christmas season is here and the time for joy has arrived, and I can't wait to finish this review and find my answers and move on with my life. Last time we reviewed the game from start to nearly finish, and I glanced over the Disney worlds and they held little importance as mostly the content is at the ending of the game, so let's begin. Once you leave San Fran, the game throws you into the endgame content. Sora gets a call from Chip and Dale saying Riku and the King are in trouble in the Realm of Darkness. Sora uses the Keyblade and sends them to the Destiny Islands and finds Aqua's Keyblade, the Master's Defender. It opens up a new door to darkness. Sora decides to go alone. It then cuts to Riku and Mickey in trouble. Someone jumps out of the portal thing and picks up Mickey's Keyblade. It's Aqua. She says Mickey has abandoned her. She's all sad and emo now, blah blah blah. Riku decides to knock some sense into her. He then fights the Demon Tower until he uses Situation Command to summon Sora. They eliminate the Demon Tower together and free Mickey. Riku goes to him, but Aqua tries to attack him. Sora stops her, keep this in mind later. Sora then fights Aqua and defeats her. Aqua falls into the water again, and Sora reaches out and pulls her into the light. There's a whole scene of her returning to the realm of light. As soon as she's home, she sets off with Sora, Donald, and Goofy to get Ventus. There's a cutscene of Demnix and Vexen conversing. The conversation is very vague. In the next cutscene, Demnix brings a vessel for Nienzo, along with Ansem the Wise. So Vexen just got help for him to atone for his wrongdoings. Dylan's and Alias come back in. They don't talk. This no talking thing's getting out of hand. It cuts back to Sora, Aqua, Donald, and Goofy at Castle Oblivion, which Aqua turns into Land of Departure. You go inside and see Ventus sleeping still. Sora still has his heart, so he can't wake up yet. Vanitas comes and interrupts things, and Aqua fights him. She locks off the battlefield so Sora can't help. A cool detail here is Sora looks directly at you while you're fighting Vanitas. She plays similarly to how she played in 0.2 Birth by Sleep. Anyway, Vanitas tries to break the seal around them. She gets macked. Ventus tells Sora that he needs to use the power of waking and that Sora never lost it. It just sleeps within him, making all the traveling in the Disney world utterly useless. Fucking great. He unlocks Ventus's heart. Ventus stops Vanitas and then Vanitas leaves. Ventus sees Sora's face and notices it looks exactly like Vanitas's. They all say their hellos and go to Master Yensid's tower. They converse about past events. Yensid says it's time to go to the Keyblade graveyard after they chill for a day. It cuts to Ven and Aqua, and Ven remembers his time in Sora's heart. Aqua says things will be back to normal soon. It cuts to Maleficent and Pete again. They basically give up on looking for the box. and they will see what happens after the Keyblade War. Then it goes to Axel. He's depressed and bought ice cream for himself. Syx is there and talks to Axel about the missing girl. Axel explains when they became nobodies, he couldn't keep up with Syx. Syx says maybe she never existed, then pursued power. He then leaves. It goes to the Destiny Islands where Riku and his replica talk about the events of Chain of Memories. It cuts to Sora and Kairi. Kairi gives Sora a Pompu fruit, so they share this fruit. This is a big deal because they want to spend the rest of their lives with each other. See, when you share one of these star fruit things, it basically means their destinies become intertwined according to Kingdom Hearts lore. So when someone shares this with you, they want to spend the rest of their life with you. So in a sense, she just asked out Sora, and I've been waiting for this forever since Kingdom Hearts 2, technically, since I started with 2, but I went back and played 1, so I guess I was waiting since 1. That's kind of technical. I've been waiting for this for a while to have Sora give the fruit to her, but now she did it first, and that just kind of blew me away, and it was kind of unexpected. Huh. So anyway, the gummy ship portion is quite cool. You spawn in a fortress maze thing, and as you go through it, you fight another fortress, a living fortress. Kind of cool. After you land, Xehanort approaches you and basically says the Guardians won't survive and that today they will recreate another Keyblade War to see what will happen. The other parts of him explain this a bit and give the villains a somewhat clear motive. They spew some bullshit, then they spawn 1,000 Heartless to battle. This sequence is kind of mandatory because they did it in Kingdom Hearts 2 to the best of the PS2's capabilities. A lot of enemies had to be cut from that version, so this was to make up for that. Instead of a number, there's a gauge tracking the Heartless, nobodies, and unverts that you fight. And it won't end until you use the situation command, which is the train attraction flow. So you can grind here infinitely. On a normal playthrough, I get to at least level 55. You're usually level 30 to 33 around here, give or take. So 20 levels or so, it's a bit much, but it's needed for you to continue without a struggle. You move on possibly to the most tragic cutscene in all of Kingdom Hearts. Aqua and Ven see Terra, they run up to him. It's actually Terranort. He says he will rip them heart from body.
Before you even face the 13, every last one of you will be torn heart from body.
Jesus Christ, this is the kids' game. He then Max Ven, pushes Sora to the ground, Max Axel, almost kills Kairi, Donald and Goofy stop him, and Donald uses Zeta Flare, which in the realm of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, it's the most powerful magic spell. Not even Bahamut can outdo that magic. Donald then collapses. More Heartless come, Riku tries to help Sora snap out of it. Aqua stands with them, but not for long. She just gives up. And then the Heartless take her, Ven, Axel, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, and Kairi, killing them all. Sora's scream here is just painful to hear.
Sora!
He watches not only Kairi, but his closest friends die in front of him. Riku has no idea what to do, but to comfort him, Riku stands up.
Sora, you don't believe that. I know you don't.
And then he disappears as he fends off the Heartless. It then kills him and Sora. And so foretold, darkness prevailed and light expired. Back to Ericus and Xehanort's chess game. Xehanort thinks he got Ericus beaten, but Ericus says it's not over and it's no fun if you know where it's going. Sora wakes up in some sort of spirit form and talks to Charity, which is a character from Key back cover. and Union Cross. Trust me, you have to do your homework before getting to this, or else you'll have no idea what's going on. Long story short, Charity says Soros is dead. He must put himself back together to live again. The only reason he's still sort of existing is because something is keeping him here. While you put yourself together, you can talk to Nominate Soul. She basically says the next time you face Terranort, he'll help back up. Also, Kyrie's keeping Sora alive with some sort of power, she says. Sora promises to say thank you to her officially at some point. Another person you run into is a mystery girl. She wonders how Sora's kind of physical. I think it's the mystery girl that Onyxt and Sykes talk about, or this could be a person that your Zora knows. But we may have to get into that later. She whispers a secret to Sora's ear, and then he moves on. Then you have to collect 111 of you. Why 111? Why not 100? Plus, they are moving, floating, falling. If you collect 222 and 333, Jesus Christ, you get health boost. Okay, fine. This is worse than the crab sequence in the Caribbean world. Like, you just want to save your friends right now. I get it's kind of needed because Zora died and... Holy fuck, this random collectathon bullshit is annoying at best. After that, Sora says he will help Charity. See, Charity has a friend, and again, if you follow Union Cross, you will know that his friend is Ventus. Ventus doesn't remember him, according to Charity. Charity says to use the power of waking to restore their hearts, but Sora will find an alternative. He then leaves. It plays Sora's and Riku's death scene again, cause why not for some reason. It just happened. Then Sora arrives at Olympus. He thinks he's alone, but there's Jiminy. So you fight this Heartless to restore all the fallen Guardians' hearts. All of them except for Kyrie. Young Xehanort comes in and says Sora has learned nothing from his Mark of Mastery exam. He claims Sora got led into the abyss by following that Heartless. Xehanort then leaves. Chip and Dale call him and say go back to the Keyblade graveyard. On Sora's way there, he runs to Kyrie. They are happy to see each other and share a romantic moment together. On the other side is the Guardians of Light, and they seem to remember dying, sort of. Once Sora did that, according to Tetsuro Nomura, that timeline they died in ceased to exist. So, in terms, Xehanort never won. But, it still gets a little bit confusing. They press forward back to Terranort. Look, they walk up to Terranort as if they never experienced this before. I'm so confused. It's the same cutscene. They say the same exact thing verbatim, but this time, Terra's lingering will stops Terranort. They fight until they're off screen. And then more Heartless show up again. You fight a Demon Titan and it turns into a Heartless tornado. Sora says he will take it on, and Informer from Union Cross steps in to help him. Again, do your homework and you won't have any questions for the test that is Kingdom Hearts 3. You destroy the tornado by pressing Y a million times, then Dark Riku comes and taunts the real Riku, then summons even more Heartless, but Yen Sid saves them, Donald and Goofy stay behind, and the Guardians press forward. They meet at the crossroads. Xehanort spits out some exposition and forms the battlefield. Next part you have to do is a mini-game to get across the hallway to go to either Riku or Mickey. Again, breaking the pacing for absolutely no fucking reason. If you fail it, you go back. I help Riku first and you fight Dark Riku and Xigbar and Ansem until he pisses off. Now, since you're fighting multiple bosses, every boss you kill saves a checkpoint, and any remaining boss's health. I'll kill Xigbar first. He spouts about if he had a Keyblade, he would have won. He says Xehanort was going to give him his. Xigbar then falls off a cliff and dies. Or does he? Killing Dark Riku, Riku Replica expels his heart and makes a vessel empty, revealing Dark Riku is just another replica. Riku Replica says to use it for Nominate, and Sora moves on to help Mickey, and Riku goes to track down Ansem. Moving on, it's Mickey and Sora versus Luxord, Marluxia, Larxene, and Xemnas until Xemnas pieces out and powers up Luxord. Luxord traps Mickey until you defeat him, so it's important to take out Luxord first. He also has the lowest health. Defeating him makes him give you a wild card with an unknown power on it. Also, Mickey becomes free. Defeating Marluxia makes him remember his past memories and his feelings. Defeating Larxene, she reveals that she didn't want to help Xehanort. She just was there for a friend, and again, if you know anything about Union Cross mobile game, she was a close friend with Marluxia in the past life. Quick thing to note, when Sora kills these nobodies, he's actually completing them to be whole again. When a nobody or somebody perishes, they recomplete to the place where they fell when they were human. Assuming with this logic, Sora is not only helping Xehanort with his plan, because the whole point of this war is to make the Keyblade. When the 7 Guardians of Light and the 13 Seekers of Darkness clash, it makes a piece of the Keyblade. So Sora is helping them make the Keyblade, but he's also giving the organization members a second chance of life. But we're not done yet. We still have 8 Seekers of Darkness to destroy. So next we're gonna go on a field trip real quick. To interlude the war, there's this puzzle, and it usually is super easy, but I couldn't figure it out this time. I had to flip the shit switch. This breaks up the gameplay again for absolutely no fucking reason, and if you're not good at this or you just can't figure it out, you can get stuck here for hours. If it wasn't enough to do that, you have to do another hallway minigame. I go to help Aqua and Ven fight Terranort and Vanitas. Funny enough, if you defeat Terranort first, it plays a small cutscene and then moves on to the Vanitas boss fight. Defeating Vanitas reveals his face to Sora. Sora freaks about this, and then it gets finally explained why Vanitas looks like Sora. He says he was the part of Ventus that was taken away, and Sora made them whole again, so why shouldn't they look exactly the same? Vanitas is a tragic character. In extended lore, when he was first created, he had to defeat Heartless to make a physical appearance of himself. But when he did that, he felt physical pain. Ever since he was ripped from Ventus, he wanted to be whole again. Vanitas never receives that. With that being said, Sora asks why they won't help him. Vanitas says he does, and that he's the shadow that they cast. Ventus says all people should be free to choose whether they want to be light or darkness, and Vanitas says he did choose, and that he is darkness. He then disappears, never completing his goal. It goes straight into the next cutscene, and they try to get through Terra, but it's no use. He takes them for a terrible ride and nearly kills them, but the Guardian saves them, revealing it was Terra the entire time. Sora and Terra mac Terranort, and Terra is back to normal. The scene after is a bit emotional. All 3 of these Keyblade rulers met with terrible fates, and now they are safe. The Wayfinding Trio is back. Moving on, you help Axel and Kairi face Sayax and a mysterious figure. You fight a bit until a cutscene plays. Axel gets macked and Xemnas appears. He asks what final words does he have for his superior. Axel states he was never his superior. He's got friends rooting for him, and no one acts as Axel. This is a great scene where Axel finally gets payback for all this shit he's gone through. Oh boy, I can't wait to see what he does.
Got it memorized?
Is this supposed to be a Keyblade? Or is it some sort of joke?
Axel's entire character. The entire character arc was led up to this moment, and they stiff him. All the pain, the tears, all of it. What's seemingly worse is that his Keyblade gets destroyed. This gets retconned in the DLC, thank God, but until then, Axel doesn't have a Keyblade until later on in the game. Anyway, Axel's about to get destroyed, but the figure, which, okay, we all know it's Xion made from a replica, anyway, stops Xemnas. Sora walks up to her, and Xemnas asks her to destroy Axel, but he says it's over. She can stop. Sora somehow knows her name. Somehow, it's not explained. When he says her name,
It's all right. Xion.
it just hits you. She freaks and gets kicked, and there she is. But it's still not looking good. But out of nowhere, from the 3rd turnbuckle, Roxas comes to save the day! Xemnas is astonished. Everyone is excited. Xemnas is confused. How did he get a vessel? Well, Vexen, of course. But before we fight, Kairi gets taken. They're gonna put Kairi in the fridge. You fight with Xion and Roxas, and he's overpowered as hell. Simply, he's the best party member to have hands down. Make quick work of Sayax and then cutscene. Axel gets frustrated with Sayax and wonders what his motive was. Sayax said he did everything to find the girl, but Axel made new friends, so he gave up and he admitted he was jealous. Sayax disappears, Sora makes sure everyone is okay, and then moves on. This moment, after all is said and done, just hits you. You realize they are alright. They hug it out. The Seesaw Trio is back. For Seekers of Darkness to go. At the top of this rock thing, you meet up with Riku and Mickey. Sora says Kyrie's in trouble. Xehanort explains there are 4 keys short to make the Keyblade, and they will be made here and now. So you fight Xemnas, young Xehanort, and Ansem. Defeating young Xehanort, he explains that Sora's time is up in this realm, and that he will go back to his own time. Defeating Ansem, he says goodbye to Riku, since they had some sort of relationship. He mentions that Riku is strong, and that he can never outpower him. Once he saw the betrayal of the other organization members, he gave up, and then he disappears. Defeating Xemnas, he says he finally feels something, and it is pain. Sora says that's just being human.
Really? It must take incredible strength.
After all is said and done, there is one key that remains. So Xehanort summons Kingdom Hearts, and then he kills Kyrie, putting her in the fridge. Okay, Sora, where's that Godspeed that he had when you saved Riku? What inconsistent plot armor is this? What the fuck? He summons the Keyblade, Sora is destroyed, but Donald and Goofy encourage him to continue. The rest show up, and Ventus and Roxas kind of look at each other for a quick second, okay? Mickey and Riku say they can use Xehanort's heart as a portal to trap Xehanort. Sora says he'll defeat Xehanort while the others keep Kingdom Hearts shut. Donald and Goofy come along. Shion assures Kyrie will be okay. So, they make a portal and they travel to Scala Kylum. They arrive into town and see a bunch of Xehanorts. They turn into clones and you start a first phase of the final fight. Defeat them, and Xehanort explains that this is the world of power for all Keyblade wielders. He gets some armor, twists and turns the city, okay. And second phase, you fight in a box for a bit. Next phase is underwater, shows the Daybreak Town Tower in the background. Next phase, you're flying, you beat him there, and you go to the 6th phase. His armor breaks and falls back, and Sora follows. Xehanort reveals that he still has the power of the Keyblade, and you fight him again. The final phase, he summons Kingdom Hearts, and one point it forces you to go into Rage form, so you can't heal here. You beat him, and then final beam, and...
It ends here and now.
What was I supposed to do? You tap A a bit and you revive yourself. Donald and Goofy help you and you beat the game. Xehanort explains that he wanted to return all life to once there was, a equal light and darkness. He says there was too much darkness in people's hearts, so he took it upon himself to take the role to reset everything. Kinda like Thanos in a sense. Sora says it wasn't his call to make, and a true leader can't defy fate. The rest of the Guardians come through, and Terra walks up to Xehanort, revealing that Ericus was with him the whole time. He tells Xehanort to give it up. We finished up that chess match finally. Xehanort gives the Keyblade to Sora. Ericus apologizes to the Wayfinding Trio, and they fly off. Sora locks up Kingdom Hearts and returns to the Keyblade's graveyard. Sora says he still needs to find Kairi, and he sets off to do so. So anyway, to make an overpriced long DLC short, he does this, and in return, since he abused the power of waking to revive Kairi, he starts disappearing. He spends his last moments with Kairi, every last second. From the Disney World, to the land of departure where Charity meets Ventus, to the Twilight Town where the Seesaw Trio is happy with Hayner, Pence, and Olette and Isa, to Radiant Garden where Naminé gets her heart. Even back home at Destiny Islands. As everyone is enjoying the beach, they all look at Kairi and Sora and watch her love say something, and then he disappears. So, Sora is not gone for good. There's your Zora story to worry about where Sora meets him and they fight. And there's a different ending, and it's up to the player to know what happens and whatnot. I could go on for an entire video about the secret ending for this alone. But this is a good stopping point. I also figured out why Onyxt helped me and Brady. Going back to Vanitas. And just like him, he chose to be who he was. And just like him, he wanted to be whole. Not knowing much about Onyxt, I can only assume that, but he wanted to fill some void that he has. And a step to doing that was helping me and Brady, whether it was for good or bad. I still don't trust him as much as I can throw him, but with the game, in my honest opinion, it's my favorite game. Even with its tiny flaws, it's still not perfect, not even close, but a hero, a villain with a motive, and memorable scenes, and a soundtrack to boot. Anyway, these last 3 years of WTF Marine have been a blast, and I'm glad to say I'm going to be doing more and plan to continue the series. This year has not been as crazy as last year, but still crazy enough. And we're still pretty much still in the middle of our pandemic, so I had some major stressors working on these last 2 episodes, and I'm glad to be done with them. So this Christmas, I hope I gave you some joy, some happiness, and I just wanted to share my love for Kingdom Hearts. Anyways, Merry Christmas.